Hello, everybody, and welcome to This Week in Gwent, as always. So we're back, finally. New year, new us, I would say. Probably new year, old us in this case. But I am joined by Jesus Christ. I need to pronounce this now properly. And,
This is
as you
art.
know, I'm Polish, so it's even worse. So it's Elquellora? Or
Kinda. Yeah.
kinda? Okay, what's the
Yeah.
proper pronunciation? Hit me.
It's a Spanish nickname, so it's Elquellora.
Elquellora. Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Okay.
But thank you. And hi for that. I'm very happy to be here. And since I went to Warsaw one time, I wanted to say to you, Miłocie widzieć.
Oh, Miłocie widzieć.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So you got
And
some proper Polish there.
yeah, something. And I wanted to thank to you for having me here.
It's
I'm
my
very
it's
happy
my
about this.
pleasure. Plus, you shouldn't be thanking me. You should be thanking the Gwent community who was pretty much voting for you everywhere that you need
Yeah.
to come. And even Rashid said that if you don't come, he will take your place. So you better do it.
Yeah, I couldn't let him doing that.
Yeah.
So here I am.
Yeah, you're very known within the Gwent community. Especially, I saw some photos with you and Piable and the rest of the crew. So, how did you like find Gwent? Let's start before we actually start with the news. How did you find Gwent? Because that's the more interesting thing for me.
I mean, I'm a huge fan of The Witcher 3, of
Mhm.
course. And I played the game, I think, 12th time.
Damn.
Like,
Okay.
I lock everything at 100%, especially the last run with the next gen update was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Totally outstanding. And so I approached to Gwent since beta, actually,
Yeah.
after The Witcher 3. And yeah, I felt in love with the game, and here
So
we are.
you've always
Yeah,
been a Witcher fan, more or less, and that's kind of where it started from, right?
yeah,
Nice,
exactly.
nice. I like that because I feel like it's the maybe not the proper way, but kind of the standard way in which you always think that people might have joined Gwent. I remember when we were first working on Gwent, we wanted to actually engage the community that was already into The Witcher, like was into the books, was into the games and stuff like that, and get them into the card game. But
Hmm.
and you're a good example of that kind of path into the card game.
Yeah, the fan base is pretty solid
Yeah. And you're
in this
Italian,
game.
if I'm not mistaken. Based off of chat, everybody's using the hand gesture as well as the
Yeah,
Italian flag.
yeah, I'm from Rome.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
nice. Rome is so beautiful. That's amazing.
It is at Warsaw though. I admit I came to Warsaw to visit Paya,
Yeah.
Adrian,
Mm-hmm.
and Alice too. And I had the occasion of meeting also Dalebot and some other guys.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of fun. And also Warsaw is very beautiful. I didn't know it at all.
Yeah, we also have a
So
lot
yeah.
of like old school, like buildings, a lot of things that maybe still kind of preserved, especially after the war and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But yeah, you can see a little bit of history within the city itself, which I think is kind of the thing that is appealing. But of course, when it comes to history, I think we have nothing on Rome because the
Yeah,
structures
I
there and
mean,
the places there are just like way, way back and are preserved super well, which is amazing. Yeah.
yeah, that's true. But
Yeah.
I really appreciate both of the side of Warsaw because there is the old part, and actually we were with an Airbnb in the old town,
Mm-hmm.
and the new one after reconstruction, very modern, very. I appreciate this difference in Warsaw.
Yeah. Yeah. Someone wrote in chat that all bike lanes lead to Rome. That's
Yeah,
yeah. I've actually been to Rome to like 3 times, and I remember every time I went
really.
there was amazing. Yeah, yeah. I think it is kind of the staple place in Italy that you need to go to. Although I feel like there's other parts of Italy which I also enjoy a lot, but it's kind of is the is the place to go. It's the
Uh,
capital. Everybody goes there as a tourist.
I was the pizza.
The pizza?
Yeah.
The pizza was really great when we actually went with an Italian friend because he
Okay,
showed
of
us the good
course.
place. And if you go without a guide and you go to any place, then there's a lot of like touristy places that just like quickly eat this,
Yeah,
go. Yeah.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Do you play any other card games apart from Gwent?
Yeah, I recently restarted to play Magic, for example, because of Rashid.
Yeah, he said that you're a
Jibeded me.
mono blue player, and do you feel
He made
offended by that?
he made me one. He actually debated me into crafting this
Okay,
mono blue instead of the tier 1 of the meta.
sounds like Rashid.
Mm.
Yeah,
So now he's telling this, yes, but
yeah,
it's
yeah.
I blame him, of course.
Of course, yeah, that makes sense. I would not. You do not seem like a mono blue player because you're very nice.
Exactly.
But it seems like Rashid tricked you into it, which totally sounds like something he would do.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, before we move to you, I will showcase two news things which I want to talk about. One of them is
Nice.
the Lunar New Year, which started yesterday. There's a sale going around this. Jeez, I can't talk. With the card bag, the Tiger bundle, the Lunar board. So it will last until February 1st. So you still have some time to get this if you don't have these things, of course. And then this weekend on the 21st, there is a cross-server Gwent tournament organized by the Witcher communities on Discord. So it's happening tomorrow. And if you go to our Twitter, you can go to their Discord through the link which you see here and check it out. It's going to be something pretty cool. They have a lot of cool prizes for it. So check it out. And there's also some games to win and stuff like that. So even better. And apart from that, of course, the standard prizes from us, which is meteorite powder and premium kegs. So the standard things that you can always get. So yeah, those two things are kind of to highlight. And it's the first twig since the beginning of the year, because the beginning of the year for us in the project is always very slow, because a lot of people are taking holidays, especially the holidays last a little bit longer, because on the 6th, there is a holiday here, which is like Christian holiday. It's Three Kings holiday or something like that. So I don't know what's the official English name for it. So less people come to the office. We actually didn't have a graphic designer to help us with, with the beautiful graphics that we always have around. So I had to wait until he's back. So yeah.
We also have celebration day on 6. It's called Epiphany, I think.
Yeah.
It's the translation.
Yeah, it's
And
I know what Epiphany is, but yeah, it kind of, for us it's Three Kings, so kind of when the Three Kings came to Bethlehem or wherever, and give their gifts to the little born Jesus thingy.
Yeah, exactly.
my perfect explanation of what was going on in that. So
I loved it.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. We have one
raider,
person raid. Thank you. Plain Talk Bonito. The people actually still use the Plain Talk thing. I thought in 2023 it was going to be gone.
It's just him.
Yeah, I know.
He was nostalgic.
Yeah, nostalgic. Well said. So you joined Gwent after The Witcher 3. Did you start playing in beta already? Like early beginnings?
So it's a little bit tricky because I started to play in beta, but I played like 5 or 6 games.
Okay.
Then I stopped for a while, and then my best friend actually showed me, it was after Homecoming, because there was Syndicate went just out in that moment.
Yeah.
Showed me that there was Gwent on PS4. So I downloaded it immediately after Syndicate, and I never stopped playing after that.
So you started playing on consoles also Witcher 3 or not?
Yes. Yeah. In 2050, the best game of the year, and that is the edition. And I never stopped. Yeah.
Nice.
But yes, I started to play it, and basically I just played back in the time just 2 faction. I didn't even knew what was MMR. I really played 2 faction because I liked it, and so I started to play seriously and competitive like 1 year ago.
Okay.
not much more. Yeah.
That's perfect.
So
So you started, yeah, and when you started, which were the two factions that you played at that time?
Syndicate and Skellige.
Yeah, okay. Syndicate
Yeah.
was pretty good right there, right? At that time.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
pretty insane. With the multiple bounties, it was
Yes.
actually
It
strange.
was Dijkstra lockdown and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, that's one faction more than I normally play because I normally just stick to Scoia'tael when I was playing a lot of Gwent. That was always my go-to, but yeah, I would pretty much also try different things. But actually, Syndicate is one of those factions that I never played a lot of. Like I played a little bit, but it's kind of I feel like it's the faction that I know the least about in this case. But yeah,
Mm. For a lot of people
yeah,
but maybe for you it's because it came uh, after the other ones.
yeah, maybe, or it's just too complicated for me. Which I totally would not, have against myself. But yeah. So you said that you started thinking about MMR and things like this a little bit later. So what was
Mhm.
kind of the incentive? Did you want to get into like pro playing and get a team, or what's the story there? Kind of what happened after?
I mean, I have to say that beside the fact that I genuinely loved this game since the first time that I played it, this game actually changed my life
Mm-hmm.
because it literally saved me during a very, very bad moment of my life. And I had nothing but this game.
Mm-hmm.
So I lived this game as much as I could, and I wanted during this last year. I wanted to improve myself, to prove myself, and I put everything that I had in by playing this game. Literally, my degree.
Mm-hmm.
I brought to GWENT for
Mm-hmm.
my thesis.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I made a thesis regarding GWENT and the streaming platforms.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I started to stream,
Okay.
because for taking data for my thesis. And yeah, my intention at the beginning was just to become good at the game, but then I started to enjoy competing because every day was a challenge and every day was something to learn, and
Yeah.
you have to stay updated with the meta, you have to study, you have to watch the other people playing. And the other thing is that I got to know a lot of a lot of people from different part of the world, and that was simply amazing. I I cannot stop thanking my community that supported me between every day on the streams or
Mm-hmm.
simply during the tournaments, because qualifiers aren't easy,
Oh
especially if
yeah.
you don't have
Yeah.
experience. So my goal at the beginning was just to play to be good, and now, of course, is since it's the last year, unfortunately, I want to prove myself and I want to go to the Masters. So I'm playing as
Nice.
best I can do. Yes.
Nice, nice. So, when you started also going more into the pro avenue, let's say, of the game, did you this was also the time where you decided that you want to start streaming the game, or did you stream the game earlier? Like, when did you get into streaming?
No, actually, I watched and played for like almost a year before deciding to streaming.
Mm-hmm.
Because streaming, I decided to streaming just because I used that time to play anyway,
Mm-hmm.
and I needed some data for the thesis.
Mm-hmm.
So after joining for the first time, I joined ESG,
Mm-hmm.
the Italian
Yeah.
team, because the community was pretty solid and
Yeah.
pretty united, but was just Italian. And I was very active as player. I actually I founded another autonomy team with me and some friends that we were very active on Gwent, and then they called us, and we joined them, and it was amazing because I I experienced for the first time how to work on team,
Mm-hmm.
how to connect with people, and we actually started to meet each other outside of the Discord, and
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
felt good.
that's how friendships are kind of forged. Like
Yeah.
you get to meet other people through, in this case, through Gwent, but also I think it's with other games that we play that kind of take this aspect of, you know, growing a community around it, but also having just, you know, friends and people that you meet through the game itself. Like I always use this example that, you know, whenever I'm going to like a local game store to play cards, like any game it is, like you get to meet the same people and you forge friendships which kind of stay, and it's you know, and it's because of like one common thing that you all have in common, which is just this game. And for you, I think it also is more because, like you said, it also helped you like get through a hard time in your life. So I feel like that
Mhm.
also kind of solidifies this position, but also you get the support of others that you meet at that time, which is maybe not the best, right?
Yeah, and also during this time there was lockdown too,
Mm-hmm.
the first
Oh yeah.
lockdown, and we literally helped each other with
Yeah.
without you know, I didn't have Twitch. I didn't know anything about Twitch before Gwent.
Mm-hmm.
I literally started Twitch to see Gwent. I watched just Gwent
Mm-hmm.
on Twitch. And yeah, especially during the lockdown, having this purpose and this um, relationships
Yeah.
with other people literally saved me.
Yeah. Yeah.
One
Also,
of them was Giordanico, for example.
yeah. He's also in chat right now. But yeah,
Mm.
he's an awesome human being. So I'm not surprised. So you're currently a Twitch affiliate. You keep on streaming the game. The idea is to make it in season 5 when it comes to you know, Gwent and its competitive scene. As you said, it's the last year. But you also
Mhm.
said you wrote your thesis on Gwent and Gwent related. So you're into like digital communication, marketing related stuff, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken. Yeah,
I
yeah.
exactly. I graduated in that. It's
Mm-hmm.
actually it has a fancy name because it's called innovative strategies for digital communication and
Mm-hmm.
marketing in video game sector.
Yeah.
It's very specific.
Nice, nice. Yeah, that's
Mm.
pretty much something that, you know, when it comes to like digital communication and marketing and communication overall, it's something that, yeah, that's very close to me because it's something that you know, it's the field that I work in. So, pretty interesting. So what was specifically your thesis about? Because I'm quite interested in
Uh,
that.
but my thesis is a very big one, actually, like 50 pages,
Mm-hmm.
and was about the psychology and the neuromarketing inside the monetization of Twitch
Mm-hmm.
for video games in general.
Nice.
And beside that, this one it was all focused on Gwent. On Gwent is structure, how it works, the competitive parts, how it goes for the content creators and for the players. There were questionnaires, surveys that ESG back in the time helped me to reach more people because I didn't have a community yet
Mm-hmm.
in a decent amount of number of people, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
And other streamers and players as well helped me with that. So I was actually very happy also because the same month that I graduated, I managed to do my first top 64,
Nice.
so my first qualifier.
Yeah.
And it was if I remember correctly in April,
Mm-hmm.
and I got 35 in position, so I was
That's
pretty
very good.
happy. Yeah.
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 And it's also hard to get that high because it's time consuming because you actually need to dish out a lot of games in order to get that high.
Yeah, normally, yeah, especially back in the time, I used to play a lot of matches,
Mm-hmm.
especially like I think the amount of time that I spent playing Gwent was similar to having a full-time job.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah.
Yeah, it is a full-time job if you look at all
Mm.
the pro players and the amount of time that they have for, you know, for practicing on a daily and weekly basis. It pretty much sums up sometimes even more hours than you would have if you're, you know, normally
Yeah.
working just 8 hours.
Yeah.
So it's a full thing, but also I feel like the thing that I like about it is like, the team aspect and actually having people that you can, meet pretty much, or kind of, discuss things online. And especially during the time of the pandemic, where we're kind of, bound to stay at home, like having Discord as a tool to connect with people was just amazing, right?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
salvation,
Yeah. Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, and also, having these friendships like Piable and the rest of the guys, like you mentioned, it's incredible. And also TLG, I feel like it's been such a big force when it comes to everything Gwent related. So yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
surprised that you got into that team.
they actually welcomed me. I didn't expect that love,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I already was friend with Paya and Kerp and Kuner, and so yeah, it was kind of actually was unexpected at the beginning, but I appreciate a lot the way they welcomed me, and I started to improve a lot
Mm-hmm.
since when I started to join the first team, actually, in ESG2, because I
Yeah.
experienced, as I said before, for the first time how to be with other people and how to play, how to see experienced players before,
Mm-hmm.
watch their gameplay, studying it, and then try to replicate it, and
Yeah.
using your brain for doing that. And was hard, but it was my passion, and it is my passion, actually.
Nice.
So
Nice.
yeah, I'm very
Yeah.
proud of it.
Yeah, it's really cool because you also like feel personally, like you feel kind of yourself growing, in the sense that you're starting with something that is just like a passion, and you play the game for fun and stuff like that. And then you get to meet the
Mhm.
people, then you get on a team, and then you start becoming better, and then you start, actually performing quite well. And you kind of, you see the kind of the path that is kind of paved in front of you, that just
Yeah.
started from the passion for the game, which is always something for me, which is, very incredible. Yeah.
Sometimes very frustrating, because sometimes for the amount of effort that you put for becoming decent at this
Mm-hmm.
game, is because this game is it's beautiful. This game is beautiful because it's hard. It's not
Yeah.
something
It's
that
not easy.
it's not easy at all.
Yeah.
And the effort that you put for becoming decent at this game, it's a lot.
Yeah.
At least for me, was a lot. So sometimes when I couldn't improve playing one deck or one faction, and or maybe I didn't understand where did I doing misplays or something like that, was very frustrating. But I think it was needed.
Yeah, I feel like it's also a blessing and a curse kind of the
Yeah.
game, because on the one hand, if it was easy, I feel like maybe there would be more people flogging to it. But if it was
Mhm.
too easy, I feel like that would kind of influence the esports part of it. And I mean, I look at the current landscape of card games that we have, and kind of, the ones that have a competitive future have kind of more, have actually less RNG in them, and are more complicated in a
Mhm.
way that, there's multiple ways in which you can play things, or what you can do in a given turn and stuff like that. And the sequencing is important, and also like taking into account the fact that there's no mana system in Gwent or anything like that, and you pretty much need to be sequencing things and kind of knowing, like, should I push here more, should I not, maybe should I play this now, or should I pass. It's like, you're trying to find the perfect play, which I feel like is kind of the depth within the game itself,
Yeah,
which is cool, right?
that mechanic actually was the thing that made me fall in love with the game,
Mm-hmm.
because beside the fact that it's different from any other card game, like any other card game, it's more similar to chess,
Yeah.
because it's one play per turn,
Yeah.
no? So you have to manage your resources, and that part is the hardest one and the most amazing one, I think,
Yeah, yeah,
of the game.
totally agreed. And also, yeah, it's the thing that is very hard to grasp maybe for some new
Yeah.
players, but with time you kind of get into it a little bit more. So yeah, that's interesting that the aspirations are there to kind of try to make it to the official events and actually make a stand for yourself in this upcoming season. I know it's going to be interesting, but what do you think about the metas overall when it comes to the way they have been changing through Gwent's history? What about like the current meta, but also if you could talk about the meta of the game when you joined and when you started playing?
When I started playing, back to the beginning, as I told you before, there was just Syndicate which just came out.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it was very, very strong because of the multiple bounties, etc. But
Mm-hmm.
overall, I always liked in general, the meta and the balancing.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, there was like 3 or 4 months that the balancing wasn't as actually very appropriate for that meta, like for example with Ramfree or
Oh yeah.
with Iron that stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
overall, I think that now, for example, the game is in a very good status because all the factions are playable
Yeah.
at competitive level. So even in a non-competitive level, I think that you can play more than the same for decks that you are forced to play usually when you have to compete.
Mm-hmm.
So overall, I think that the job was always good.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, there were high
Yeah,
peak
there were
of
better
yeah,
metas and worse metas. I think like
yeah,
you
exactly.
always get that, and I feel like that maybe with some of the cards, like we wanted to have the we wanted some cards that are coming in to be maybe a little bit stronger
Hmm.
than they are kind of supposed to be, to kind of fine tune them a little bit because they're new. And I feel like with Ramfrey that was kind of the case, that she came in pretty much crazy, right?
Yeah, that's for sure. But I mean, of course, it's it's not easy to to do balancing,
Yeah, it's hard.
especially
Yeah.
when 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 there is a lot of different opportunities. So yes, sometimes you can put in discussion some decision that it's been made from the dev team, but also you cannot pretend that everything is always perfect and needs
Yeah.
time to get balanced. That's why there is there is a patch every month, basically. So I mean, overall, I think there is a reason if 4 years players are stick
Yeah.
to play Gwent. I mean,
Yeah, true. And also like you mentioned, I feel like balance is always one of those things that a lot of players will have like their own, say what it should be, how it should look like, and things like that. So I feel like, we never will agree 100% in terms of like what the balance should be, but I feel like there were some months and cases within Gwent where I felt like everybody was more or less happy with the balance and kind of the direction that the game was going in. And there were, of course, some months in which people were like you mentioned, like the rent-free meta that was prevalent for some time. People were like, no, this is, this is not the time I really want to be playing the game. Maybe,
yeah.
it's better that I pretty much move on to something else or do something different. So I totally understand that.
Ah, you've my utmost gratitude.
But yeah, I mean, I played every meta to be honest.
Nice, nice.
So yes.
Do you have, apart from favorite factions, do you have any cards that stand out to you, or like your favorite cards, or maybe some tech options that you like to have in decks that are always kind of there, or isn't there anything that
Uh,
stands out?
this is a very good question, actually. Uh, it's hard to tell. I mean, there was big amount of time in which I couldn't play without Heatwave, for example, because I really love to have that option, to have that removal, that if I need that little bit of control more for escaping the round, for dealing with the scenario, for, I don't know, top Punisher, some unit that went to some engine that went too high. I really used to have to love to use that card. And beside that, favorite cards, I mean, there are a lot of cards that I enjoy playing. I used to love the old Thunder Drill. A lot of players
Yeah, a
used
lot
to
of
hate
players
that.
love the
I
old
used
tunnel
to
drill.
I used to love it, especially when it was actually the first Thunder Drill with the ground splitters set up. And I actually enjoyed a lot playing the first second Wind Warrior, even if it was very, very broken. But playing Harald while the pink ignoring the armors was very good, actually. And what else?
What about
I
Antony
really
or before the changes or any other versions of Geralt or not?
I really loved, especially at the beginning of this journey, loved Rivia, Geralt of Rivia, because was the first tall Punisher card that you get at rank 30, more or less, and was the first red coin cards that actually could change, because if you started on red coin with Geralt on the unit with TA on it, you can actually start to understand what it's like to win on even, and what this, how this will infeature on the game. So yeah, actually, maybe the only one that I didn't like much was Irden, but honestly, because I hated with all my heart Northerium Switcher when it was meta.
I'm not surprised. That wasn't fun to play against.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, after this, I used to love. It's always Syndicate, but I used to love the wildcard leader, the one that played a spell from the deck in the same turn, and you get combo with Graden with a Slender. And my favorite leader of the game is actually Cove, Pirates Cove.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's spending the coins in the same turn that you are profiting. It was amazing, actually.
It felt really good.
And it's syndicated was, especially in back in the time, was kinda struggling with finding spender and let them stick to the board. So having that option that makes the opponent hard, both long round and both the bleed, was just amazing, I think.
Yeah, I also feel like
I love that faction.
There were a lot of metas in which Syndicate was fairly good, and that's also the thing. I feel like the faction was always strong, and a lot of people have always said that, you know, Syndicate, once it came out, it felt like from all the other factions that it introduced a different playing style, just the fact of actually, you know, having these bounties and also having, you know,
The
cars which are
coins.
spenders, and then the cars which help you earn more, and you know, keeping that play style into it was something very, very new to the game. Also, I remember when the faction came out, a lot of people were saying that this kind of changes how you play the game and how you interact with some other cards. So yeah,
it was impactful on the game, but yeah, that's probably what I loved of the faction, actually, at the beginning. So yeah, I also enjoy actually but this is recent story though. I started to enjoy more the engine decks, even the movement one, for example, or the Northerians one. Because at the beginning I didn't like them much, but when I changed my playstyle and I started to understand more the mechanic of the game in general, felt good to play the engine, because you have to decide when to maximize his points, when to play this engine instead of this engine. So when it's challenging, it's good.
I mean,
I like it.
engine-based decks are hard to play from the fact
Yeah,
that
exactly.
if they don't stick and if they get countered somehow or removed, then your game plan is
You're
it's going
screwed,
down the drain. Is
basically.
not good, and you can't really rely on them. So it's either one of those that I remember with some of the engine cards, like we always wanted to just give them a little bit more power so they don't get really removed very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So that was
Yeah.
always kind of the problem to move away from. Jordan Nico was saying that we all know you're a dwarf player, but I don't think you don't look like a dwarf player.
I'm not, but there was a season where dwarf were good.
Yeah, they were pretty
Actually,
good.
that
I remember.
yeah, that I smashed with dwarves. I
Yeah.
made a deck that was a little bit controlling because he had both muzzle and Arondite, I think.
There was
And
this version. I remember. Yeah.
yeah, I was very good with pretty high MMR with that deck. I remember.
Yeah,
And
Arondite in that deck was very good.
did you like Alumni when it came
No, I
out?
was not a fan of alumni decks. Like for me, always playing against those decks and R overall just didn't feel too good.
At the beginning, I hated the deck,
Yeah.
but then a teammate of ESG that was it was called Chi. Made a lesson on Discord and showed how to play that deck. Okay, properly, exactly. So I started to play the deck and actually felt great and was
it was
amazing
very
because
consistent, right? It was very consistent.
Was very strong
Yes.
also, and I had with that deck the best win rate so far, I think, that I ever had, and also the highest MMR, because I went like 2650 with less than 80 games.
Damn.
So it was amazing. And I
yeah,
really liked it.
That was a strong deck in my opinion, but also very like consistently strong, because sometimes you have strong decks but they either perform always or they perform only from time to time, and this one was just one that pretty much you could hit the ground running like very quickly.
Yeah, and I must admit that the nerf was well done on alumni deck, because just the fact that if you move them, they cannot gain passions anymore was a huge nerf, was a fair nerf though, and actually was a good thing for the meta.
Yeah, I mean, you could always go and nerf it more, but then when you nerf it more, I feel like it just becomes this thing that people, you destroy the card and kind of the archetype, and people don't really want to play it, and will just play something different within the faction that is just the strongest option in that case. So it's always good to have it more or less. I mean, ideally, when it comes to balance, it would be for us to have it that, each faction has the same amount of possible archetypes that you can play and that they're more or less leveled out. But I think you will never have this, because you probably see this in us, a lot of people who play at a more professional level and a higher level, is the fact that, you get to a point where you will always be choosing what's the strongest option, and there's always one which is pretty much stronger than the rest of them, and that's the one you'll be playing. Yeah.
But I think that is kind of inevitable. I mean, even now that the meta is very balanced, because as I told you, the factions are all playable at competitive level. For example, Priestess is stronger than the other decks, and it's very, very hard to face, especially because they have a very strong round one, and they usually win round one, and when they win round one, usually they win the game.
Yeah.
But of course, then every match is different and can change a lot. But even in during a meta that all the factions are playable, all the factions are good, you'll never know you always know that there is a deck that performs better of
That's true.
the other.
And also
It's
sometimes
inevitable.
you're just surprised what people like tech into a deck. Like there are some, you
Yeah.
know, choices in decks or there are some decks that you don't expect like going against.
Mhm.
And that's the element of surprise. And I feel like also that's kind of the cool part, because I feel like you appreciate more like people bringing something new or something different or something wacky to the table that you don't expect, because you're like, oh, I see what you did there. That's quite
Yeah,
interesting, right?
that's happened a lot. A very high MMR.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I saw when Baya plays
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, and I watch him when he is like above 2,700. That
Yeah.
is something insane. He changed the some cards or some lists time to time, because they have a different meta,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and basically there are a few people that are in on that level. So changing a card, touching a card in a
Mm-hmm.
deck that you normally don't use
Yeah.
for that purpose is feel actually amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, I feel like at the higher level, you're also playing in a smaller, let's say, meta game in which you need to
Hmm.
be always like changing things and teching it against what your opponents are playing. And it's much different than when you go, you know, to the lower MMRs or lower ranks, even where people are playing just different things, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
actually, it's not easy for someone that plays for almost the entire month in one med,
Yeah.
and then if you go lower MMR, it's not easy
Yeah.
to
I
win
feel like
actually.
it's ever changing depending where you are. Like it's pretty
Mhm.
much to you know the fact that you know when you're starting from the bottom and people are just playing like some piles and you know the decks maybe they don't seem very coherent. Like the higher you go, the harder it kind of gets, and kind of more the decks become more consistent, they become better ones, or they're based off of you know what the pros are playing or what the
Mhm.
meta snapshots are showing at that time. But at the even higher level, it's kind of you know the kind of the decks change a little bit more. There's more tech options, there's different choices. And like we've seen also with some metas, like some metas actually change after the initial like couple of weeks, in which we kind of
Yeah.
see like, okay, 2 weeks, more or less 2 to 3 weeks, you see the meta like becoming more stable, and people are kind of playing like you know a set number of factions, archetypes, and you know what kind of you can pretty much, that's the time where you can go and say like, okay, this is the snapshot, this is what you can you know expect. But then at the higher level, I feel like you know players are still kind of tinkering and doing some other stuff. Of course, there are you know metas, I feel, in which after the patch you more or less know what to expect.
Yeah, that's true. But for example, it's something that I'm doing right now. The thing that you just described, for example,
Mm-hmm.
to wait for I didn't start to play the first week this time
Mm-hmm.
because I want to make to the masters, so I want to do the
Fully
as much
focused.
good as I can. I'm not even streaming right now the ranked, for example, and it felt different. But I usually start to play the first day of every new patch of every new expansion because I want to test everything that I can. I want to try the new cards. I want to try deck building because I love deck building really. And that, for example, for win rate or simply for climbing into the ladder is not very how can I say, it's not the best way,
Yeah.
because when you test, of course you lose MMR. You don't
Yeah.
know what other people are playing in the first day, so it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
But the more you play and the more you see stuff and change tactics and learn new things, it's actually incredible how different can be the same matchup for each person
Yeah.
differently. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah. Totally
And
agree here.
for example, the most intense session that I ever had on Gwent was during the last Masters,
Mm-hmm.
because I prepped Kerp
Okay, so you were
during
prepping with Kerper then.
mhm. And like in 5 days not gonna lie, we played more than 304 games.
Damn.
Because we basically played every single matchup, taking every line possible that he could have encountered. He was
Yeah.
playing his own how it's called, the deck lists. I don't recall the terms now.
Mm-hmm.
And I was playing all the opponents' deck
All the
lists.
opponent deck list. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's proper prep. And also, whenever I'm doing the interviews, like with the pro players during the events, like they always mention like the test group, and I feel like TLG has one of the biggest test groups and one of the
Yeah.
best players if you think about it. Like you guys have a crazy
Yeah.
amount of like top Gwen players, but also the thing that you mentioned, like sometimes I feel like it's just better to have the possibility to sit down and play friend matches and kind of solve what are the best decks and then take them to
Mhm.
the ladder so you don't lose MMR, so you're kind of very consistent.
Exactly. Was the best part, and I started to do that
Mm-hmm.
in with ESG,
Mm-hmm.
because we usually had this thing that once per week there was an advanced experienced player that made a lesson on Discord for everyone.
That's really cool. Like I never
Yeah.
heard about this part. Like someone giving you like proper
Yeah.
breakout in terms of like, okay, this is how this works. These are the possible options for it. But yeah, I've seen pro players like digest these things into like very very like molecular almost vision into, okay, these are
Yeah.
the possibilities of how a card can work. But that's so cool and that's so interesting always.
And at the beginning it's so hard. Actually.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But yeah, that is actually that way is a good preparation for the tournaments.
Yeah.
I remember the first qualifier. I had no experience. I was a little bit anxious,
Mm-hmm.
more anxious than our call of today. Uh, but I remembered how it was watching those matches.
Mm-hmm.
So, and playing it with my own experience a lot there. And for the first time, I started to emulate uh, previous game plans that I already had.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
unfortunately my
Yeah.
English
Makes
is not
makes
that good.
makes sense for me. I understand everything.
Nice. And I don't know, it felt good.
Mm-hmm.
For the first time, felt that after all of that time, something good was achieved.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. It makes total sense. I
that
totally get that.
was a milestone.
Yeah. Yeah. It is kind of like this milestone that you hit after that. And yeah, I mean, working with people who play the game on such a high level just gives you so much insight into how the game works, how the things should be played, and also what is kind of which cards are, because sometimes you just get into like the nitty gritty. Like you can see like, okay, this card is performing much better than anything else in this faction, so I will probably run it
Mhm.
here. And sometimes you also see some players like just bringing like some piles of cards, some combinations that you would not maybe see as working properly, but in that shell or in that, let's say, configuration, they just work and they're competitive, right?
Yeah, exactly. And this thing that you just mentioned, for example, to me, besides my friends,
Mm-hmm.
besides Paya, Gerb, and the others, I do that with opponents
Yeah.
a lot. We talk a lot. I talk a lot with people of other teams, because when we match each other a lot there, and we see cards that are played different in the same deck, and you ask them how it's going with this
Yeah.
instead of this, and they answer to it's amazing actually.
Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, it's the community is well united,
Mm-hmm.
and is an amazing thing, I think.
That's I always say that's kind of for me the best part, that when it
Yeah.
comes to Gwen, it always has been like the community is very supportive of one another. And also what I like is that, when someone is coming in to the community as a fresh face, that person has the possibility to learn from others, because others are just willing to come out and help. And
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
not, hostile or negative. And also you see it also in the tournaments, like when you have friendships in between teams, like you mentioned, where players just respect one another, but also they like one another, which is not something that you always see, because they're like, oh, I want to be the best, I don't care about these
Yeah,
guys, and you never
exactly.
have that. And I even sometimes people thought that Tailbot was maybe, I don't know, like he thought a lot of himself, or he was rude and stuff like that. But when you get to meet the guy in person, it's it's just the persona that he was kind of showing, during the tournaments, but he behaved in a different way when you actually met the person, right?
Yeah, it's very funny actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the part that I enjoy most too, actually. To be honest,
Yeah.
having another vision of the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
another perspective. It's you can always learn,
Yeah.
because maybe you are 100% sure that the thing that you are doing is the correct way,
Mm-hmm.
or display has to be done like that.
Yeah.
But then you see something new that works too,
Yeah.
and you say, okay, maybe I should have considered this too.
Yeah, but it's hard
So
because you always feel like, when you're learning to play something, you kind of stick to one idea of how that thing should be played, or you kind of know that, okay, when I played this way, it gave me the best result, but you never thought about, of utilizing it in a different way, or maybe switching some cards within a given archetype and actually saying, okay, this actually works and I would never expect it to work. But someone, has that experience because that person tries it, and you're like, damn, that actually works. And why wasn't I playing that all along?
yeah, the best part is that sometimes this type of actions comes just for a feeling.
Yeah.
You put for feeling a specific card, and you were right.
Yeah.
For some reason, you were right. So yeah,
Yeah,
I totally get what you're saying.
that's always interesting, and always crazy, because yeah, like you mentioned, it's not something that you expect in the beginning. So that's always interesting. When it comes to like tournament prep and stuff like that, do you have like a group that you always prepare with, or what's kind of the process, if of course you can talk about it, when it comes to getting into a new month of Gwent? Like, how do you prepare?
Well, at the beginning, I used to play alone,
Mm-hmm.
especially when I had no team. Then, when I joined TSG, we were like 4 or 5 that were playing constantly.
Mm-hmm.
So we used to prepare ourselves together,
Yeah.
basically. And now, since I joined TLG, I played sometimes with Paya. I played. I prepped a lot with Kerp in general
Mm-hmm.
for him though, because I didn't
Yeah.
qualify. So we just did the thing for him, and sometimes with Kuner too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, basically I have the same persons which I'm prepared with, but sometimes I might be playing with, as I was saying before, with an opponent,
Mm-hmm.
with a member of another team, just for confrontation of if someone needs some help and he doesn't
That's
have
cool.
a screen partner,
Yeah.
and I ask, it's always a pleasure. If it doesn't in conflict with some other.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm prepping
Yeah.
with one person, I cannot prep the
Yeah.
opponents too,
Yeah. Yeah.
of course.
Well, that's also very nice of you, because yeah, like you mentioned, some players are, maybe they don't have teams, but they also have the aspirations to be, going into these events, and sometimes, you're, maybe if you're not helping one of your teammates, you have the possibility to help others. And also, I feel like in a way it shows you once again the community aspect of it, that it's very
Yeah.
open, even in the professional scene, that there's this room for camaraderie and actually friendships and stuff like that, instead of just like you gotta be, only playing with your team. You can't be doing anything outside it.
That is actually amazing. I agree with you. For example, beside the fact that an higher level during Opens and Master, a lot of player prep with other team players.
Yeah.
So that is amazing too. But for example, almost every day I play on Discord with Erdem too, for example, and of course he's from another team, but we met each other in Istanbul when I went with Paya to visit Kerp, and we bond since that. So even if it's not in the competitive aspect or something, or if it's not always Gwent, we just hang out on Discord and play together.
Yeah, that's cool.
So
that's
it's
cool. Yeah, like it kind of goes back to the thing that we were mentioning in the beginning. Like it is the best place to kind of forge friendships, and you forge friendships through meeting people through Gwent. And when you meet them through Gwent, sometimes you become like best friends, and stays there, and kind of you're able to enjoy the game together, but also play against one another and test against one another, even though you're from different teams.
Yeah, that's the point. I mean, I cannot even list all the people that I was very happy to meet thanks to this game, because I meet all my ex-team DSG comrades thanks to this, and was amazing. Also because we met, we went to Ilaria's wedding too, and it was great. I met my TLG teammate. I met Dempai, I met Rashid, Subi, Erdem. I mean, a lot of people. So yeah, it's kind of these last years were crazy, to be honest. But
yeah, and especially after the pandemic, you got to meet those people in person, which I feel like it's even better, because then you get to meet them in person. A lot of you guys were traveling into different cities and different places.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, you were in Warsaw and stuff like that. So actually got to hang out with them in kind of their cities and their countries. That just makes it even better, right?
Yeah, especially because after pandemic, actually, when I came to Warsaw, was like years that I didn't took a flight and go outside Italy, because of course the pandemic and stuff. And I just went alone. I took the flight because I was talking with Adrian on Discord about that. He said, you can come over whenever you want. I just took the ticket, me, Alice, and Adrian, and we met everyone there. So it was also
you're cutting out a little bit.
I have no internet.
No, you were cutting out a little bit, but now
Okay.
it's I think now you're back.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I'm sorry. It happens when it starts to rain lately. I don't know why. Hopefully, I won't. I will still be here.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But you were saying that Ethern gave you this possibility that whenever you want to visit, you just book a flight and you can go visit him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's amazing.
And that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I've also noticed this, and also like working on Gwent throughout so many years, like you get to meet so many people. Like some of them, of course, like they move on to different games, or maybe they start doing different content in their life or whatever, but still you have the friendships that keep on going and keep on lasting. I feel like for me it's always been Flake is a great example of that, but still people like Mogwai, McBeard, like all these guys, like you still will keep in touch with them even outside of the game, even if they're doing something different in their life, which is always something that is amazing, because you would like, when you think about it, like you wouldn't necessarily consider the possibility of meeting so many people through a card game that you play online.
It's insane. It's insane.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect to be so happy to meet people with my own passion, actually. But yeah, it was amazing. At the beginning, felt a little bit strange because all of them are younger than me, to be honest. But yeah,
Happens.
we
What can you do?
we don't talk about that.
We don't talk about age.
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
Yeah, no age shaming. So to shortly wrap up, since we're over an hour, what are your plans for 2023 apart from of course trying to make it into to the like the esports events, but when it comes to like streaming and stuff like that, do you have any plans for this year?
Yeah, I want to keep streaming GWENT. For the last year, I want to give all myself to GWENT, but of course, I need to, since it's the last year, I need to see other options too. I think I'm gonna stream a little bit of Hogwarts Legacy when it will come out,
Okay,
because I think it was a very cool game. And yeah, then I should actually find also a job beside the content creator part, especially in the video game sector. So yeah, I don't know if I have to move from Italy for that, to be honest, because here unfortunately is not the best environment when it comes to video games. We are a little bit old-minded about video games as country. But yeah,
but there's so many possibilities within the industry within other countries, so I feel like there will always be a possibility to to branch out and do something different. Like we had a really great friend working with us, like Alessandro. I don't know if you ever met Alessandro. Like
I never, but Alessandro was in my own university, and he was in the same class of my best friend. So yeah, I know him.
Yeah, so he was working. Yeah, he was working with us for quite some time, and such a great friend and such a great person, and also like person that had a passion to work in the gaming industry, and he's been he worked with us. Now he's in a different company, and it's awesome to see that people from Italy who are very passionate about games, and we could also see it because we were at Lucca this year. There were like so many people who are into gaming. You should like we should meet up in Lucca probably next year if we go. If not, I just want to go myself, because the event that happened this year was just amazing. And
Lucca is beautiful.
Yeah, Lucca is beautiful as a city, but also the people that you meet there is just incredible. And everybody's so nice and so welcoming, and also like there is a whole huge like gaming community there. So I mean, totally a must visit.
I need to go the next time, absolutely.
And also the fact that it's not done like normal events are normally done in a convention center. It's done within the city walls, and the city is closed off. It's just, I did not understand that until I experienced it this year. I was like, this is incredible. Yeah.
The first and last time that I went to Lucca was at the release of Assassin's Creed 3, and I assisted at the battle in outside the gates of Lucca.
Oh, nice!
It was amazing.
Yeah. We had a Nilfgaardian march through the city of cosplayers, and it was incredible. Yeah,
amazing. Yeah. That's cool stuff.
Awesome. Sure. Andrea, thank you once again. It was awesome to talk to you, to get to know you. This was incredible, and thank you for taking the time. I don't know why you were anxious, because you did great.
I'm still anxious,
as expected. So yeah, thank you so much, and thank you of course for the support. I wish you all the best this year, and of course hopefully we can see each other in one of the official events, so we can do some interviews live.
Thank you so much for everything.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you everybody of course for watching, and we will be back with Twig next week, so take care everyone.
Bye guys.
Oh, last question. What do you think about pineapple on pizza?
No comment.
The proper Italian response is like no,
absolutely not.
We end the conversation here. Take care, everyone.